You wake up early. You force yourself out of bed before your alarm even finishes. You skip the snooze, skip the excuse, and white-knuckle your way through the first hour of your day, telling yourself, this is what discipline looks like. By afternoon, you are exhausted. Not from the work, from holding yourself together the entire time. You start to wonder if some people were just born with more of this than you. More grit, more backbone, a bigger tank of willpower that never seems to run dry. But what if discipline was never something you have, or don't have, at all? For years, one idea shaped almost everything people believed about self-control. Psychologist Roy Baumeister proposed what he called ego depletion, the theory that willpower works like a muscle, or a battery, draining a little with every choice you make until by evening there is nothing left. It explained why your discipline collapses at night. It explained why the person who resisted a donut at 9 in the morning gives in to 3 by 5 in the afternoon. For decades, this idea was treated as settled science. Then, in 2010, researcher Veronika Job ran a study that quietly upended it. She measured people's implicit beliefs about willpower, whether they saw it as a limited resource or as something closer to limitless, and then tested them on classic depletion tasks. The people who believed willpower was finite showed the classic pattern, weaker and weaker self-control as the day wore on. But the people who believed willpower was not a fixed resource barely depleted at all. Same brain, same tasks, different belief, different outcome. This is the part almost nobody tells you. Your discipline is not a tank you are born with, slowly running on empty. It is closer to a belief you are unconsciously acting out, one that becomes true simply because you expect it to be. But belief alone is not the whole story either. Around the same time, researcher Wendy Wood was uncovering something just as important, studying how people actually behave across an ordinary day. Her research found that nearly half of daily behavior is not the product of conscious decisions at all. It runs on habit, triggered automatically by cues in your environment, the placement of your phone, the layout of your kitchen, the chair you sit in when you open your laptop. People who appear to have extraordinary discipline are very often not fighting harder than you. They have simply removed the moments where a fight is required in the first place. This is the counterintuitive truth. Discipline is not a personal trait you either possess or lack. It is a byproduct of two things working together: what you believe about your own capacity and how much friction your environment quietly places between you and the behavior you want. Think about what this means for the version of you that forced yourself out of bed this morning, treating every minute as a battle to be won through sheer force. You were not weak. You were relying on a strategy that was never built to last, spending willpower on problems that better design could have solved for free. Here is where it starts to change. If your environment is doing half the work, start there before you try to summon more grit. If you keep failing to write in the morning, it is rarely because you lack discipline. It is often because your phone is closer to your hand than your notebook is. Move the friction. Put the phone in another room. Put the notebook exactly where your hand lands first. You are not becoming more disciplined. You are making discipline unnecessary for that particular moment. Then work on the belief underneath it. Notice, quietly, how you talk to yourself about your own limits. If you catch yourself thinking, "I am too drained to do this right now," ask whether that is actually true today, or whether it is simply the story you have told yourself in the past, running again on autopilot. Jobs' research suggests the belief itself is part of what creates the depletion. Change the sentence, and you change what your mind allows itself to do next. And instead of asking, "How do I force myself to do this?" start asking, "What would need to be true about my environment for this to require almost no willpower at all?" That single question, asked honestly and often, will do more for your consistency over the next year than any amount of white-knuckling ever could. You still wake up early tomorrow, but this time, your notebook is already open on the desk, your phone is already in the other room, and you no longer need to fight your way through the first hour of your day. Because discipline was never the size of the battle you can win. It was always the number of battles you were wise enough to remove before they began.